Hello there, friends. My name is Scott Wakefield, lead pastor at First Christian Church of Greene County, and I am here with...
I'm Mike Luzadder. I get to be the campus minister with Christian Student Fellowship at East Tennessee State University.
Indeed, he does. Is that what you said, I get to be?
I get to be.
That's good.
Still.
I should say that. They let me.
They let me do this. And I've been there 22 years, by the way.
Yeah.
I've been there for
yeah,
a
they're
long
still letting
time.
you. So, with all that, we're going to have a...
Coffee Convo.
Yes, thank you for holding the awkward pause.
Yes.
For those of you who are new to Coffee Convos, this is something we do to talk with some friends within First Christian and from without. And so we're going to hear about the work of God in Mike's life and get to know him a little bit and hear about how God's using him in ministry at Campus House ETSU for 22 years.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, what is a Luzadder?
Oh, actually, it's probably Portuguese.
Really?
But we are really mongrel. And we are from West Virginia. And the Luzadders came over the late 1600s.
Really?
They settled in New York. We were Jewish, most likely.
Luzadder.
Huh. We were wealthy, and then some of us split and decided to go to West Virginia and become poor.
And that's how you got here.
That's how we got it. Yep.
And need we say more? I assume Luzadder is a light snake.
Something like that, yes.
A snake of light?
Something. We'll go with that. The luz obviously is light from Latin. I don't know how that conjugates in Portuguese, but we'll go with light snake. I like it.
So, Mike, light snake. Tell us about where you're from, if you'd like to tell us more of that, about your family,
Yeah, sure.
kids, etc.
Both of my parents are from West Virginia.
Yeah?
Dad had a reason to leave. Military offered a good opportunity for him to leave. Vietnam War was headed on, so he danced around the world for a little bit. When he returned, I was born.
Okay.
And I have two younger brothers. All three of us are within 4 years of each other. We were born on opposite parts of the country. I was in Indiana. One brother was in Virginia. The other brother was in California, just the way the military life works.
Yeah.
Dad retired and went to seminary, oddly.
Huh.
Part of that was Vietnam and what he witnessed in the soldiers who he was an officer.
Sure.
And he determined that he was going to make a difference in the lives of young people, and so he wanted an education for that.
Cool. I didn't know any of that.
Yep.
I've heard you say before that you are one of three boys.
3 sons.
And you grew up with a lot of boy stuff.
we did, yeah. My dad was hard-nosed. He was a Marine officer, but also just a complete redneck, and everything was by the book. There was no arguing. The first time I saw one of my peers argue against their parent, I thought the whole world was going to end. Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't believe.
I was just talking about this today. Twice today, I talked about this very thing. Some young whippersnapper said something, and I just thought, I'm telling you, at your age, I never would have dreamed of saying something to anybody who's remotely close to my parents' age. I would have been mortified.
Yep. And that was the era that I grew up in, but that's also the family heritage that I have.
Yeah.
Both of those are true. And
Cool. So your dad went to seminary?
went to seminary, Fort Worth, Texas, Baptist school.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He got a job right out of that in Illinois at a children's home. That was not his first intention, but he sort of fell in love with the idea as it opened up. So I really grew up in Illinois at a children's home, just in a rural area. Great place. A very small town. Every town in the surrounding 20 counties were all small. So you would have put us together and we would have made a very small city.
Yeah.
And it was just it was a great place to grow up. Actually, Chris's dad, Tim, grew up in the county south of mine. He's a little bit older than I am, but we probably were in the same places at the same time.
Well, he's an old man.
Yeah, he's an old man.
Yeah.
But Chris's grandfather I knew quite well. He was a well-known preacher in the area.
Cool. Yeah. So how did you and your wife meet? Tell us about your kids.
Yeah, I ended up going to Johnson Bible College.
Yes.
At the time.
Get it straight, thank you.
That's right. A bit of on a whim. I'd already gone to the university, which is important to the campus ministry story.
Huh.
I went to the University of Eastern Illinois. And really, I was sidling away from Christianity, to be honest. I was not about to do that under my dad's watch. I figured if I was an hour away at the university, I could slide away, and he'd be none the wiser. And the crazy thing happened is that I saw peers who loved Jesus and were real.
Yeah.
And it's not something I'd witnessed, or at least at my young age, understood.
Hadn't noticed.
I didn't get it.
Didn't do its thing to you
So I
yet.
got it.
Cool.
And campus ministry bit me hard, and I decided I wanted to do this. And I figured I needed the Bible college degree to do that. So my wife and I met at Johnson way back in the day. She graduated, and I graduated later and did a couple of other experiences long before we got married.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was a great thing.
Yeah.
We first got married and moved to Evansville, Indiana, and a campus ministry there. We were there for about 5 years in
I don't
campus
remember
ministry.
that. Okay.
And the reason we are in Tennessee is because of a family. Her sister married a man who lived in Johnson City. And he wasn't about to leave Johnson City. And so the only way that my wife could be near her sister was if we moved. So we moved to Johnson City when the opening arrived at the campus house at ETSU in
22 years ago.
99. Yeah.
Cool. So you have 2 children,
2 children.
and you're now you actually sort of have 3 now.
I do.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
How did that happen?
One of the questions that I was prepped for was the biggest transition in life, and this is it.
Really?
I don't know what to do with myself. I've always told people that.
You mean when the kids are gone and they start getting married and having their own home and forming
That happened this
family?
weekend. So 2.5 weeks ago, my daughter got married.
Yeah.
I was prepared for that. It was sort of like another event in her life. Our son had come home from school, so we were all together for a little bit for the wedding, and then for Thanksgiving. They came back from their honeymoon, and they hung around for a couple of days. And on Saturday morning, she got into her car, and she drove away with her husband, and not with me.
Yeah.
And I'll see her in a couple of weeks, but her bedroom's empty.
Yeah. The world's a different place.
It's suddenly a strange thing. COVID was great. I tell people this. COVID was great for me in a personal way in that both my kids came home for an extended amount of time, and we had a good time as adults. No longer as just, hey, children, you need to listen to me and do what I say.
Right.
But here are full-fledged college grad and nearly a college grad who are having fun.
And you can see adult things in them.
Yep.
And that's cool.
And they're making their own decisions. They're using their own money.
Yeah.
They're taking me out to eat. I mean, it's just stuff like that. It's sort of fun.
I have not yet reached those blessed years.
That day will come.
But I'm looking forward to those. I suspect they
indeed.
may never happen, but you know, I'm happy for them too.
But the sharp side of that knife then is that they go.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. He's a youth minister, though. That is my son-in-law.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis area, and so I'm grateful. He seems to be a good man. If he treats my daughter well and
Then he'll
follows
continue to
Jesus,
be a-
then I will be excited about this.
So if he's watching this Coffee Convos,
If he's watching, Zach Leslie.
good stuff.
Coffee Convo, FCC,
Indeed.
Greenville.
That's right. So tell us about ETSU Campus House. What is it? What do you do? How's it going? Whatever else.
Yeah.
Let's
So
get into all that good stuff.
just in the theoretical sense, campus ministry is all about reaching people where they are.
Yeah.
The Christian churches especially noticed that this was a need back in the either late 40s or mid 50s. And that's when at least our group in the Restoration Movement began making inroads onto the local university campuses. So First Christian Johnson City at the time, which was downtown Johnson City, had a couple of university professors who were really interested in making a difference on campus. Started a little organization, and for a while it was sort of a sub-group of the church itself.
Yeah. I didn't know that piece of it.
It grew to become then important enough that the group of Christian churches wanted to be a part of it and not just it be a ministry of one congregation. So We're supported by 42 of the larger Christian churches in the area, from Greenville up to Abingdon.
Are most of them fairly regional, I assume?
All of ours are.
Really?
Yeah, I can drive to all of our supporting congregations in less than an hour.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
That's kind of how it should be, in a sense.
I really sort of think that too.
Yeah.
So, we have some churches sort of that straddle the Knoxville, Johnson City line.
Yeah.
They pay attention to the campus ministry in Knoxville, which
Sure.
is I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
But it's sort of an invisible barrier. And
Yeah, and we're in that in between. We
Right.
support them and we support you.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you go a little bit further the other direction, probably less.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
If we go up to Abingdon, they've got Virginia Tech on the
Yeah,
run as well.
right.
And so that's just part of it, I think.
Cool.
And I think that people ought to think sort of regionally about this.
Yeah.
So I want to be on campus. That's why I have a board of directors who oversees me. They want me to be on campus. They want us to be interacting in the lives of students on some kind of a daily basis. That's not just Sunday church or Wednesday youth group. So we do things. We have a building that's right across the street. Couldn't be more perfectly located. They bought that thing in 1971.
71.
I don't know how genius they were, but
Yeah, that was a smart move.
yeah,
For those who may not know, as you're coming up University Parkway from McDonald's.
that's right.
It's right there on the left across from the ETSU sign. And you can see the campus house sign
Yep.
right in front of it.
So we really have been in that location for 50 years.
Wow.
Sort of crazy.
That's cool.
Beautiful building, sort of small and chopped up. And so about 8 years ago, we put an addition on the back side of it. Just a one-room addition that's unobstructed by supporting walls and things like that, which really has served us very well. So
What do you do in that space? In that back space?
thanks for asking, as a matter of fact. We have three main things we do each week. We have a lot of little things that follow around those.
Yes.
But the three main things are we offer lunch every Tuesday. It's a free lunch. We want our churches perhaps to be involved in this, and so sometimes they cater it. Nothing better than little old ladies cooking church food and bringing it to you.
Preach.
There really isn't.
Preach. I've been saying for years, we're in a different time and structure than we used to be, and we just don't have the potluck stuff as an entire church together like we used to in some ways. But I remember saying 10, 15 years ago, these are going to die.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a sad day because it's going to be nothing but young parents. Oh, we're supposed to bring food. Let's go pick up something on the way, and it's going to be nothing but store-bought stuff right then. So
It is a wonderful privilege when we have 4 different pots of chili.
Oh, it's awesome.
In these crock pots. Oh, there's nothing
And they've
better.
coordinated. They know who. This used to happen here all the time. It was fascinating to watch the organic planning of it.
Yeah.
Frida would say this, and then the other Frida would say this, and then you'd have the others who would say these things. Oh, well, I'll bring a da-da-da. If you're bringing da-da-da, I'll bring a da-da-da. It would work itself out, and then you would have 4 kinds of chili.
Yes.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
And
That
you can
didn't
taste
happen.
all of them. Or sometimes you can mix them all together. It was still great.
And if you didn't taste one of them, the one that made that will make sure that you came and tasted it. As the young
Absolutely
person
true.
on staff.
Absolutely true.
How did you like my chili? That was so great. So great. Sorry, go ahead.
So that is one of the things we do. We've done this for
Long
probably
time.
20 years. We've offered a free lunch. Again, part of it is getting churches to help out with this and even to come in and see what goes on. Part of it's we want people just to walk in, no strings attached.
Sure.
You can come in for 5 minutes and shove something in your mouth and go.
Yeah,
Or you can come in and spend a couple of hours and talk.
that's cool.
And you can talk about sports or literature or anything reasonable, and we'll have a conversation with you. And we'd love to have you come back.
Yeah.
The second big thing we do each week is we worship. We do not worship on Sundays. None of the campus ministries at ETSU do.
None of them.
Sort of by gentleman's agreement, I think.
Really?
All of us
That's
have
kinda
deferred.
nice. Yeah.
ETSU really was a suitcase campus for a long, long time.
Yes.
And so,
it didn't make sense.
For a while, it didn't make sense.
Sure.
And I think now we're happy with what we do. So we meet for worship on Wednesdays. That's our big evening for that. Clear out the tables and chairs, and so that room becomes our worship center, our sanctuary. We meet at 7 o'clock, and usually we're an hour and a half or so. Pray, we sing, we teach, we discuss, everything that you might expect from a college group. Play some games afterwards. Sometimes we burn stuff in the front yard. I don't know. It's just fun.
Don't burn the building down. I'm going to bed.
That often happens. I'll say make sure that there's the hose, the water's on, douse this thing before you leave, but I'm out of here. Yeah, it's fun.
You're locking up. You're turning off lights. Make sure you don't burn down the building.
As an old man, at times I really do leave early.
And
they love it.
As soon as you said that, I thought, I'm pretty sure Mike's not staying until the 2 a.m. stuff's going on.
No, I do not.
Anymore.
I can't.
That's right.
Because I really don't function well at that.
Preach.
And they don't want me to function well. They're happy for me to go. The third thing we do each week is we offer a party for international students.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We call this World Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
About 10 years ago, ETSU really jumped into international students.
Yes.
And we're bringing in a lot of not just graduates, but undergraduates. And even people who were not in an undergraduate track who just wanted to come and learn English. So they get a little paper certificate saying, hey, I traveled to the U.S. and I spoke English with people.
Yeah.
And so we rode that bandwagon in a hard way.
I remember when you guys started World Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the idea was simply to invite them to be near us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can go through all kinds of statistics that people have about the international students that want to come and earn a degree from a U.S. university.
Right. But
then they never assimilate. They don't meet people. And especially with a potential language barrier, that can be just daunting. They're going to do their task and then go.
Yes.
And so we offer this really as a place to break that down.
Yeah.
Where we can just hang out. We're playing Uno, or we're playing some kind of board game, or we're listening to someone give it a cultural talk about the festivities that they have in their hometown.
Right.
And we want to know that.
That was pretty common when we were in Los Angeles at a church right across from UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
We had tons of international students to our house, to church stuff. It was all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. Big ministry opportunity there.
There really is. It's significant, especially for undergrads, and that's sort of why I bring it up. So ETSU cut a couple of those programs recently. I don't think there was anything malicious about it, but it's just the way that things work.
Yeah.
And graduate students are a little less available for this kind of thing.
Yes,
I'm sure they don't play so easily. They're focused. They have their details. They have their schedules.
Oh yeah.
And so,
and sometimes I don't know if this is the case so much at ETSU, but grad schools that I've been a part of, international students sometimes are not even there with their families at all.
Right.
And they're like, I've got 2 years to get this done, and they are focused.
Yep.
There would be guys in seminary, you'd see their Carol and Cubby, and it's like, do they actually live there? Because it was just filled with stuff, and they would have a fridge and pictures of their family, and headphones on, and like you don't mess with those dudes because they're on it.
They probably even had a pillow down here for them.
Some of them did. I'm telling you, they took naps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
So that's been a big deal for us. We've sort of had to deal with that. COVID was really impactful in a negative way toward us, but so have been some of these other things that have taken away some of those undergraduate international students. So really the last couple of years have been a little harder. A little harder just to find continuity with programs and students.
I saw something the other day that said that since the beginning of COVID, undergrad admissions is down 8%, or total enrollment is down 8% nationwide or something like that. That's pretty significant.
I bet that would be true, and particularly in Tennessee, with the Tennessee Promise. It's a really hard sell to get them to want to come and live on campus. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can live at home. They can go to community college for a couple of years for free. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and even anecdotally around here, I see a lot of that going on. So that makes it harder. It's been more frustrating. They haven't been around as much, not just international, but students, period.
Right.
Okay. How else has COVID affected you all, and if any other ways?
Yeah, fear is a big deal. And it's hard to get over fear. And I don't mean to preach to the choir or to the non-choir here, but dealing with people and their fears, however rational or irrational they are, it's just a hard thing.
Yeah.
And when you have an opportunity or an option that makes it
For an option for
ministry or just to hang out with people, to get
Gotcha.
to know people.
Right.
You may not want to take advantage of that
Right.
if fear is such a big motivator in your life. And so we really, I think, witnessed that a lot. We were another thing. We don't want to supplant the church. We want to be supplemental to what the church does. And so
Right.
we don't want to stand in the way of it. We want them to be at their home churches on Sunday, but we also want to be a group of peers for them on campus.
Yeah.
And so they're going to choose one or the other probably.
Yeah, I was going to say,
And-
of all those options that they had, or things that they did regularly before COVID,
Right.
they're pulling back.
We have, there's another staff we have, Katie
Mm-hmm.
Woodward works with us. She's been there 3 years. She does great stuff. And we have been working on a third part-time staff. We've had someone who's paid attention to the international students for a few years, just on a part-time basis. Worked it from a 10-hour position to a 20-hour, hopefully to a 30-hour, and then, well, we've not found that consistency. So we're looking again for someone who would want to work with international students
Cool.
in about 20 hours a week capacity right now.
So you have someone doing that now for 20 hours, or
Well, we did.
You did.
She's going to be moving on to
Okay.
another position here pretty quickly, so
Okay,
we're going to be
gotcha.
looking again to fill
Gotcha.
that.
any other things that you're looking ahead toward, working toward, etc.?
You know, the spring semester is always very different than the fall semester.
Because
Things are not so new in the spring semester. In the fall semester, everything's wide open. It's
Yeah, sure.
beautiful. It's warm. We want to be outside. We
Sure.
want to throw the frisbee. We want to sit around the fire. The spring semester is just a different animal. It always is. It starts out cold.
yeah,
It starts out dark.
yeah,
And it's hard to get people interested in something new with that kind of atmosphere.
mm-hmm.
So our spring semesters are a little harder plowing than the
Yeah.
fall
that
semester
totally
for
makes
that
sense.
reason.
When I was in Chicago in school for 10 years, undergrad and grad, well, more than that when you count all of grad school, I guess. I just remember thinking, this is a long winter.
And
then
every
when
winter in
spring
Chicago is a long
sprang,
winter.
it's like, and there was a long period of time going into all that was, yes, rough. Now that you say that totally makes sense.
So we work really hard to try to invite people to come to these things we do. If they don't come at the beginning of the semester, it's really unlikely that they're going to come around at all. If they get into the rut like everybody else. They blame older people for doing the things they've always done, but students are just like that. They start out, and if that first or second week they haven't found their niche,
Is that going to happen?
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
right. Everybody's got a liturgy, whether they like to believe it or not.
It's exactly true.
So you do a whole lot in the fall
Yes,
to
we
try
do.
to launch big.
Fireworks and the whole shebang. Okay, not literally.
Do you actually do fireworks?
No, I would like to do
That wouldn't be dumb.
We need fireworks. Why not?
Let us know if we can help.
The football
provide
team has fireworks. We should too.
Well, speaking of the football team,
How about the football team?
speaking of the football team, we actually have some questions.
About the football team?
We got questions, and one of them is about the football team.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Questions like, would your son-in-law like to be our next student minister? How about that? That's the
That'd be
first.
great. I would. I might funnel some money toward First Christian Greenville if they can make that happen.
We would funnel some money toward that happening as well. I can't tell you exactly how much, but we would funnel quite a bit of money toward that because we're looking for one right now.
He is a hardcore Chicago fan for all sports that exist.
Even like MLS soccer.
Oh, even MLS soccer.
Really?
And hockey and baseball. He's
Really?
White Sox.
Yeah, yeah. So he's not Cubs, but he is White Sox.
He's hardcore White Sox. Illini? He's an Illini fan.
So he's from Illinois?
Both of his parents are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So he's blue blooded when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't know if that affects you.
Well, it's it's worth noting as an entree into the candidacy process. What embarrassing things can you tell us about Chris Carlson? By the way, for those who don't know, who aren't aware, Chris Carlson is an ETSU Campus House product, and you and Chris have been good buds for a long time. And Chris is actually on the board.
He is.
I think, right? Still is. Yeah, still's on the board. So what embarrassing things can you tell us about Chris Carlson, if any? if many.
Just a couple caveats here at the beginning. We have a 21-member board,
Yes.
which I think is great. It may make for an unwieldy meeting on occasion, but we've generally done a good job with that. And I think the great part is that we have 18 churches represented in that.
Which is cool.
So they know exactly what's going on all
That's
the
right.
time.
Yeah, it's good.
Chris is, of course, the representative. Chris and I are good friends. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And Chris just does some wonderful, interesting things at times.
Yes.
This is not too embarrassing for him. His very first semester at ETSU, we were in desperate need of any kind of musician, and obviously Chris is a musician savant. And so the first semester, we found out he could play guitar. And so by week 2, he was playing guitar for our worship band. I think week 4, we were playing, we had moved our weekly worship service over onto campus, and we were in that little amphitheater that's outside there
Oh, yeah.
in the middle of campus. And so Chris is up on stage with his guitar. Again, he's brand new with us. I'm certain his birthday is somewhere in middle September. I couldn't tell you what the day is.
That feels correct-ish.
And so his mother, his wonderful mother, brought, I think
course.
she brought pizza for everyone there. I don't
course
remember
she
how many pizzas she brought.
That's awesome.
And it was one of those events that you knew that Chris was honored by this, but he was also completely embarrassed by this and did not know what to make of this, because here's his mother making a big to-do about happy birthday, Chris, and singing happy birthday to Chris. And everybody needs to know it's Chris's birthday. And she knew that he was new with us, and he knew that he was new with us, and we're trying to celebrate his birthday. And it was just sort of one of those funny moments, like,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
It's the nature of campus ministry.
Good stuff. So was he a freshman?
Yeah, that was his first year with us.
Mom, I've just been on campus 4 weeks.
But if you know Chris, he would never say that out
Oh,
loud.
no.
Never
No.
say that out loud.
Nobody would know a thing. Thanks, Mom. It's great. Yeah.
That's right.
Good stuff.
I went.
So we'll save that one. That's a good one. When people ask you what you do for a living, how do you answer that question?
Yeah, if I'm feeling really creative and excited, I get to serve God on campus. Campus ministry is usually my default answer, but that's sort of a boring answer. And so,
And some, like a non-believer or somebody who doesn't have a context for understanding what campus ministry might be,
Right.
might go, you what?
it's sort of like a youth ministry to college students is what I would tell people often who don't have a context for it.
Yeah.
Although that doesn't always answer the question either. Like, youth minister.
You get paid to hang out with students?
I know.
That's it? That's all you do?
That's all I do.
I don't know why I suddenly went redneck.
Because you're in the context of redneck.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
we
me?
are. And we will let you know it.
Have you met me?
Yes. How many guns do we have in the room right now? At least one. Let's see. Did you go completely virtual during COVID?
Ooh, we did not. We offered a Zoom option, which is virtual,
Sure.
but we never quit meeting during COVID.
Cool.
And we were very safe, and we were very masked at times.
No, if you met at all, you were unsafe.
Yes, we were then.
I'm sorry, carry on.
And that was one, I think that was a hard fight we had there that summer, was what we were going to do with this. When COVID happened, as far as university calendar, that was for our spring break. We decided that we were going to come back from spring break and we were going to finish out the semester meeting.
Huh.
And so we did,
Yeah.
and we were still ambivalent as to what that looked like.
Right.
We were all sort of feeling that way out
Right.
through
Oh, yeah.
April and
yeah,
May.
Sure.
When we got to the summer, we thought, okay, we're going to press pause on this for a minute. We'll let the summer go, and then we'll figure out how we're going to accomplish this.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a fight in mid-July as to what we intended to do.
Meaning internecine, intramural, just y'all,
Right.
and leadership, and maybe board?
We got a little board set feedback. We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
some student feedback. The staff got together and discussed how we were going to do this. And
Sure.
because I'm the idiot that I am, I said, no, I think we're going to continue meeting. We'll do whatever's safe
Yeah.
and whatever we need to do. And
Sure.
we'll accommodate in ways that the university does. But if the university is going to continue meeting, We also are going to continue meeting.
Well, that was my next question. Was there any feedback from or direction from the university in any sense? And I know you can do what you want in a sense, and it doesn't. They're not in charge of you.
They're not.
But were there things that they were saying? Hey, all organizations who are a part of us.
Yep. Yeah. So we have this, I think, a very friendly university relationship. We are a student organization, and so therefore we abide by certain regulations.
Okay.
When we're on campus.
Yes.
And that, of course, does not across the street. We can do what we please across the street.
Right.
And so, again, it's a bit of a gentleman's agreement.
Right.
To assimilate or accommodate as best we can.
Yeah. And
Without,
in a sense, you'd be stupid to just outright ignore and do your own crazy stuff across the street because you are in relationship in the long term.
And we would really alienate
right
students and administration.
Right.
And we've done a good job building relationships with them for 50 years. So
right,
why wouldn't
right.
we ruin that?
Right, right.
But at the same time,
right, you're your own thing.
We want to accommodate. Interestingly, I'm not bragging here, but Dr. Noland came to one of our campus ministers meetings.
His wife is a Green Countian.
I knew that.
Yes.
Sort of amazing. He really is a great guy. I like him a lot. He walks through campus. He doesn't know me, but he recognizes that I'm one of those guys that's somehow associated with campus, but not really.
You're allowed to be here, and
he'll
it's
nod
okay.
at me with this look.
Yeah.
But so he came to our campus ministers meeting this August,
Uh-huh.
very, very impassioned about, hey, we're starting this up, and they just laid some groundwork for the semester. He came in his blue and yellow shoes, which always means business when he wears the blue and yellow shoes.
Really?
Loafers with the suit and tie.
So if he's got the blue and yellow shoes on.
tie.
Yeah. Every college president must always have the school colors in some form or fashion on the tie. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You have to.
And he looks good doing it, too. But anyway, he made a plea to us. Like, hey, this is our plea. This is the way we're going to go. I would love for you to help us to enforce this. And some of us said, maybe. And some of us said, I don't think so. We'll do what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we were polite.
Sure. Cool. I like it. Oof. Are you excited for the return of ETSU football in general terms? And are you excited about ETSU football this season?
I have to tell you, if you haven't already figured out, I'm probably the world's biggest jerk when it comes to everything. I'm always wrong. I am that the old fart that sits in the corner and makes crude comments about people that turn out to be untrue completely. And so,
I knew there was something about you I've always liked.
in 2003, when the president cut football, I was like, that was the best idea in the world. I can't believe it took you this long to do it, because I've been to a couple games, and
Right.
they were awful.
And ETSU was a different animal.
We had a
back
bad
then.
team playing a bad conference indoors in October.
It's not a residential campus in that sense.
No, there were probably 100 students total that would go to any of those ball games. It was terrible.
That's
under fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm never coming to another game. I love football.
Yeah.
So when he cut it, I was like, yeah, that just makes sense.
Makes sense. And the students voted later on.
Yep, the students voted
to
both to do away with it and to bring it back.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And so when Dr. Noland came in, he said, hey, we're gonna start this up. I was like, oh, you can't.
Here we go.
And I did this, I'm sure, at least in my mind, I crossed my arms and smugly smiled and thought, no way. And when he decided they weren't going to play in the mini dome, I thought, oh, well, there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's a chance of this. And so when they played it at Science Hill, and Science Hill had a new field at the time.
Yep. Huge
like,
jumbotron.
Yeah,
cool
this might
stadium.
work.
Yeah.
And then when they built the stadium on campus, which is amazing.
It's cool.
For a small stadium,
It's cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is cool.
And we got a great team.
And it's an intimate setting.
Yep.
It's cool.
Dr. Noland has done a great job just with school spirit and vision. He's had a vision, and he's not wavered from what he understands a school needs to be. And so there's a lot of school spirit at ETSU that there wasn't 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not just the football team. It's sort of the big package, but the football team has been a part of that.
Well, I've seen Greene County ETSU alumni participate in stuff, tailgate for games, put their pictures online,
Yep.
and have other alumni come along, and I'm like, oh, I guess you are alumni apparently, and you like your school, which. Of course, you're an alumnus and you like your school, but that whole part of it seemed new in the last few years.
Even in Johnson City.
That's right.
To see little yard signs.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have been there 15 years ago.
Right.
Nobody
right.
cared. ETSU pride, whatever. But not anymore.
That's cool. That's
yeah.
cool. So this is a good one. How has student culture changed in the past 20 years? You've been in campus ministry for like 30-ish now, right? There you go.
I have been in campus ministry almost 30 years.
Wow.
Since 94.
Yeah.
The phone is so overwhelming. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes
Right.
it's really a good thing.
Right.
But it's a complete game changer about everything. So information is instantaneous.
Right.
I make a slip up in a fact I'm giving.
Right.
For a discussion about Jesus or Moses or something like that.
Somebody's looking it up as you're saying it.
That's right.
To verify it.
That's not true, and they don't mind talking back to me either. So, or even texting it like, "Hey, what he's saying isn't quite accurate." That kind of thing.
Yeah, and that could be in the group text that involved everybody at the moment,
including me. Yeah.
Yeah, or online, or yeah.
So I don't know how to. There's no way to get around it. This is just the way that life is now. But this is significant. I could never have dreamed that we would have been in a spot where instant information is the norm. And instant communication is the norm on a wide level.
Well, and I think some of the point you're making is, until recently, I felt like the internet is perhaps one of the biggest things that has ever happened in history.
Yeah.
In terms of game-changing things. But the idea of the internet being right here, and it's mine, there is a radical shift in a whole bunch of ways we have not even yet begun to understand, I don't think. Yeah. And I'm seeing things in younger generations that I've thought, where on earth is increased suicide and huge through-the-roof anxiety? Where is all this coming from suddenly out of nowhere? Well, it's not out of nowhere. And it's endemic. It's all over the place.
Right.
So I've noticed a few things in the last number of years that I think are due more to this phone thing, as you said, than we've even yet begun to understand.
I fought it for a while, and I really did not want to concede to this for a while. Mm-hmm. We got internet at the campus house, and for a while I didn't want to give out the password. I didn't want people to be on it. This is probably 07, 08. I don't know. It was a while back. And then I realized that's sort of foolish. I thought it was a loss if somebody picked up their phone while we were in a conversation.
Yes.
I didn't get that.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, I just lost him. How can I get this conversation back?
I have just finally last year convinced my own dad. I'm telling you, Dad, I'm listening to you. I'm engaging with you. Okay, so what you just said, I think. Now, of course, that has its problems.
Yep.
No question.
And especially with his generation.
Oh, no, absolutely.
But it's hard for me in my generation, too.
Yeah.
But recently, I'm like, hey, yeah, recently, his last 3 or 4 years. Here's our password. Please be on this.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a lose for me to have someone hold up their phone and start typing into it.
Right.
That's the natural thing now.
Before I became senior minister here, I a couple times announced, hey, I know this is weird, but I want you to know, when he's up there preaching and I'm doing this, I'm taking notes. I'm writing down things he's saying. And I'm making an outline of the content of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because there'd be a few people who'd look over and be like, and I'm not a Luddite by any stretch. In lots of ways, I actually am. But
I am.
But I'm an early adopter of technology stuff. But I'm more of a Luddite now than I used to be.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I've come around the other way, but not completely.
Yeah.
It's still. our worlds are still ruled by this. More so maybe in high school, I think. I still walk on campus, and when I'm walking on campus, everybody around me on their sidewalk has a phone right here, and they're reading it as they walk.
Yeah.
Which I still think is sort of hazardous.
Yes.
But it's the norm now that I understand, I guess.
Most days in the mornings, either here upstairs around our worship center or downtown, I can be found with my earbuds in, going like this, walking around reading.
Yeah.
While it's reading to me, and I'm reading it because of my ADHD. I've got to have like 7 things keeping me focused, and it's also got rain going. And
Just some white noise?
not just some white noise. Actually, it's a mix of a number of different elements: rain and a little bit of like some undercurrent of thunder. Actually, drier sounds, and I could keep going for a long time. But there are a few other things: pub sound, coffee shop sound, and I have certain.
Really, that focuses you is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. I've been developing this system for years, and based on what I'm doing, I'll have a little less pub sound and a little less coffee shop sound, or a little more, undercurrent of thunder. If I'm walking downtown, I'll turn up the baser, lower end stuff, so that I don't hear as much going on of just outside noise. So yeah. Plus, I'm taking Adderall, so that helps too.
I guess your church already knows that, right?
Yeah.
That's no secret.
Yeah. What are some things that people wouldn't realize or expect about being campus minister or being in ministry, period? Some things about the work, the job, the ministry that...
Yeah. So I'm not sure that this is a complete answer to that question. My job, it seems to me right now, I'm not a specialist in anything. We're 2 staff, and that does not allow me to focus on any one thing. So my days usually are very multifaceted. I can spend half an hour doing some administrative stuff where I'm entering numbers into a computer.
Yeah.
I can spend the next half an hour or a couple hours maybe answering emails, contacting people about things via email or text, whichever is most appropriate. And that's always a fine line. I'm never really sure, like, is this a text conversation? Is this an email? Do I need to call here? And I'm still ambivalent as to...
What percentage of those responses, what percentage of those comms things are responses to inputs, or you initiating an output?
I really am an introvert at heart.
Okay.
And so a lot of things would be responsive to me, and I have to drive myself to be proactive about certain
The
communications.
initiating parts.
So there are certain things that I will do as part of a schedule that I know I need to do. I've set myself up sort of like you do.
Yeah.
This is what I know I need to do. And so the hard times are when I have a transition and I'm not sure. Do I need to proact here? Do I need to react here? Which is the most appropriate thing for this person or for this conversation?
Right.
And I don't always do well with that.
Well, there are so many options.
Yeah.
And it used to be email's the thing.
Yeah.
Or actual snail mail, but now it's a billion different ways. I have since COVID started gotten rid of 3 or 4 different comms inputs because you just can't manage them all. I can't even manage the few I have left.
Right.
I feel like I'm always trying to parse out, okay, what's the best way to do this or not, and I end up over time, and maybe this is just as things grow, responsibilities grow, more people depend on you to do certain things or not. I don't do as much toward the thing that they might be most helped by. Yeah. And I'm doing more like these are the 2-3 things I do. These are the ways that I do it. And it's not going to happen otherwise.
So I'm deliberately not on Snapchat or Instagram.
Right.
And it's a choice that I've made.
Uh-huh.
I knew that I couldn't keep up. I knew that it would always be awkward. I would always feel like I was...
That's true.
They would always feel like I was the creepy old man who was part of this.
Yes.
And so I thought, I don't know the lingo. I'm not going to get started. I'm going to let Katie do this, my coworker. Mm-hmm. She does a great job. She understands those nuances. She understands the lingo. She understands how that works.
Yeah.
And so I can communicate with a text or with an email.
Yeah.
And the students will react to me according to that.
Yeah.
They all know I'm this 50-year-old guy. This is the way he does things. Whereas with Katie, they've got this instantaneous thing going back and forth. And I may or may not be part of that thread.
Yeah, and that's cool.
That's okay.
And you're fine with it.
Yep.
Cool. So what you meant by that answer about the unexpected, surprising things is your day is ever changing.
It is.
And you may have plans for things or things you need to do or know need to happen.
Yep.
But
sometimes the yard needs mowed, or sometimes a very well-intentioned, benevolent person will come and say, "Hey, I would love to help you do this."
Yeah.
And so I really do need to drop whatever project I was working on and give them attention and go plant flowers in the flower bed, or help them to do that kind of thing. I've done a pretty good job recently that if ever a student comes in the door, that is my office door, which is always wide open, if they ever come in the door, they have my full attention. So I stop immediately whatever I'm doing, and I focus on them and give them complete conversation. Mm-hmm. If I'm working on a project that has a time limit, like, you know what, I can give you 5 minutes. I've got to finish this up.
Yeah.
But they are always my priority. If the phone rings, sorry. If something else comes up,
meaning the phone rings and you...
Or benevolent person or
right.
knocks at the door. Sometimes people just stop and when they want to chat, even with me. So,
when you are doing work that's got a time limit or something that you need to be alone, you leave and go do it elsewhere?
Often.
Yeah.
I can go on campus and I can read, and people are not going to bother me. I can work on a sermon over there.
Yeah.
I could do computer work over there.
Do you typically do your hideout things on campus somewhere like that?
Yeah, in the open, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I'll not be in a secluded area. I'll just go and hide in the open spaces.
Yeah. Oh, I understand that. No, that's good because you're available and present and yeah. Good stuff. So, what are some of the success stories and cool stories of students coming to know Christ and going into ministry or raising a good family or, those kinds of things that are a part of you being in campus ministry for this long?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I'd love to answer questions like that.
And answer it however you want.
Let me just be selective about a couple of them. But I sent out an email. I do a prayer email every Monday.
Yeah.
Somebody at First Christian gets it. I don't know who, but somebody does. And there's a student that's been hanging out with us this fall. He's from Ukraine. Really a great guy. He's a graduate student working on his MBA, but he is devouring everything that we serve up.
Really?
He came as a Christian, but probably he would say maybe a weaker Christian, has an Orthodox background, probably has grown up in this.
Okay.
He's been in the States for a couple of years, but he just came with this voracious appetite for everything scriptural. He's done all kinds of Bible studies that we offer. He's come to all of our worship services.
Yeah.
He's been a part of every event that we offer.
Huh.
And it has just been exciting. And so part of my prayer request this morning was he's headed back to Ukraine for the holidays to be with his family.
Gotcha.
And they're going to note, he hasn't been there for 4 or 5 years maybe.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to note that there's a difference. But I even think that there's a difference since August in this guy.
So they're going to see it.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah.
He's a fine man.
Cool.
And I think God's going to use him in some great ways in the future.
That's good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff.
We have another guy who started hanging out with us last fall, right sort of at the peak of COVID. An American student who had an idea of what he wanted to do, and part of that was sort of filling a gap that he had in his own past. He wanted to be what somebody wasn't to him.
Right. Yeah.
And, he hung out with us all last year and really worked hard, and I think came to know Jesus in a greater way, came to understand and appreciate what the Bible has to say in a more important way. And it's not only because of us, but he's headed to seminary next fall.
Cool.
I'm going to take some classes from Milligan through the co-op program that they have this spring.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So I think he's well on his way to some kind of ministry opportunity.
Cool.
Simply from being around us.
Yeah.
That's
the idea.
We had an alum gathering back at the beginning of November. And I'm not on Facebook either, so I don't keep up with people's things and pictures and families.
Yep.
But some of these people came back And it was just so much fun to hear them tell about, here's what our family's doing. This is my son, and he's 12, and he's a part of this club or this at school or at church.
Super cool.
And I got to tell you, there's nothing better than hearing those stories.
Super cool.
It just makes the buttons pop.
Yep. Makes the buttons pop. That's good. That's
Proud
good.
in a Christian way.
Yes, indeed. Good stuff. So how can we be praying for you and for ETSU Campus House?
You can always be praying that we're wise about what we do. We offer these things that are standard to us each week because we think they're good. But we always want to be able to add to or subtract from that. And we have retreats and Bible studies and mission trips that are also part of this jumble of activity. Mm-hmm. But we want to be wise in the way that we have conversations with people. We want to incite them towards kingdom work, towards being focused on Christ and not just on being some rich American who makes a lot of money or some dumb goal like that.
Right.
You can always pray for us to interact with international students appropriately. We're not trying to be inappropriate, but sometimes, you just meet people and you happen to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, there's a lot to manage there.
There is.
Yeah.
And especially when you have a room full of people from different backgrounds, that really becomes a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
To try to realize that person needs this and this person needs that.
I'm going to need all the people who are offended by direct eye contact to come over here.
Yep.
And I'm just making it up. But.
We had a Christmas party a couple of years ago, and we invited all of our international friends to the Christmas party. At the Christmas party, as we do every year, we read the Christmas story.
Yeah.
We read from Luke and Matthew and John and Colossians. We do this every year. And just sort of retold the Christmas story. Mm-hmm. One of our Muslim students pulled me over to the side afterwards, and she said, I don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I said, you're correct, you don't. But we do. We invited you to the Christmas party. You get that we've invited you to come to our celebration of this, right? And she had a hard time accepting that she was offended that we would have celebrated Christmas in a Christmas party. And it was one of those, I was not ashamed of this, but I was a little dumbfounded that she had spent 6 months with us and thought that maybe we were being inappropriate by telling what we believed.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
But sort of odd. So sometimes when I'm in a room and there'll be 20 different people, I've got to realize, okay, this conversation and that conversation, I need to have different, it's just a different vernacular.
Sure. You're constantly adapting.
Yeah.
From person to person, situation to situation.
And it's hard when you're an old man. I become crustier and crustier. Don't quote that, by the way. Whichever camera I'm looking at.
On that fantastic note, we should probably end this coffee convo. Thanks for joining us.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, it's been good to hear.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you for joining us.
It's good to be here today.
For a coffee
convo.
So...